What is up, everybody? Welcome to The Roads We've Traveled, episode 12. My name is AJ Pelletier. How is everyone doing today? We got an awesome guest today, lead singer and guitarist of the band The Shape here in Connecticut, my friend Brian Almeida. How are you, buddy?
I am hot, but fantastic otherwise. How you doing, man?
Good. I pronounced your last name right?
Mm-hmm.
Close. Okay. Whew. I always get nervous when I pronounce people's last names, and I'm just like, it's either hit or miss for some.
Oh, dude, I've heard Almeida, Almeida, Alameda, Almeida, Almeida. There's at least 7 common ones, and then there's people where you're just like, how the fuck did you get that from?
Yeah, right.
It's better than my mother's maiden name, which is Wysowski. So
Wysowski?
Wysowski.
Okay. That sounds like that Monsters, Inc. movie, Mike Wazowski.
Yeah.
So how have you been, man? How's things going for you during this pandemic?
Up and down roller coaster. It's just crazy. I remember we played, the last time I was really out and about seeing people was we played a show Friday the 13th of March at the Cellar on Treadwell, and everybody had hand sanitizer on them, and it was like, is it going to get canceled? And I'm like, dude, we're not fucking canceling. Let's do this, because in my head I was thinking, we're probably not going to be able to do this for a while. And personally, with the rest of us, we didn't want to do it. We had one other show a week later, and then we weren't going to do anything for the rest of the year. Completely revamped pretty much everything, life-wise and band-wise. Flipped a lot of shit upside down, and kind of turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Other than that, got laid off, got brought back to work. I work as a utility contractor with a company called World Energy, and we do stuff with energy efficiency. So I'm the guy that comes in, takes a look at your lights, your HVAC machines, all that kind of shit, and recommends the upgrades. If they're down to do it, gets incentive, puts the project in place. Obviously, with all this crap going on, can't do that.
Yeah, I can't really go into people's houses. I remember when I upgraded my internet from Frontier, which was a month and a half ago or something like that. And, just because I had to, because Frontier is going bankrupt and, they got bought out by somebody else. And I was just like, I'm not dealing with another company on top of, AT&T selling to Frontier on top of it, to begin with. I was like, let me just upgrade to Xfinity. And then the guy came out here to he says, I can't go upstairs, and we got to drill a hole. And I'm like, well, I know how to operate a hand drill. I'm pretty good. You know what I mean? I was like, just tell me what you want me to do. He says, well, we got to put a hole right there. I'm like, no problem. And then tell my landlord I had to drill a hole, but whatever. So it's a nice little hole in my living room right now with a nice new cable coming through it for my internet.
It was weird, because that same exact thing you mentioned, it happened to my mother, and I was helping her out. And it just came. She's like, why doesn't my TV work anymore? She's 67, going to be 68. I'm like, Ma, you're just touching buttons. Just stop touching whatever buttons. You or my sister are doing some, just and I can easily deduce a lot of that stuff and usually fix it. But it just came to a point where I'm like, okay, modem's connected, router's connected, they're both on, rebooted both, TV's on, we can get to the internet. It's a cable issue, can't get it up. Call the cable guy out. He comes out 7 days later, says, oh, I can't come into the house. And she's like, well, what do I do? And he's like, I'll just give you a new modem. And then popped in a new modem, and somehow he rebooted it from the cable from the outside, and that was it. But he was like, yep, no charge, no problem.
So crazy how advanced we've come with technology too. And I mean, the setup was real easy for me to do, on top of it. He just handed me the modem. It was pretty self-explanatory, the setup instructions and everything. I didn't have any issues. And then I was just so amazed at how much faster my internet was. I mean, I had pretty much the highest speed with Frontier because of everything I do between streaming and this and everything else. And, you know, just a little bit extra from Xfinity. I was like, there's a big difference here. And I'm glad I ended up getting it. So, but yeah, it's, you know, this pandemic is so weird. You know, like I had to take my cat to get looked at like a few months ago just for a checkup and have, you know, her nails trimmed and stuff like that. And, you know, you got to sit in your car and then somebody comes out and grabs your animal for you, brings them inside
Yep.
while you wait in the car the whole time. And then they call you and tell you what's going on. And then they bring up the animal after. So and
Yeah,
it's
we've
just a
got
way
a
of
cat
life now.
here, a younger cat here that she had to get snipped up, and that's the same thing. It was like 7:30 in the morning. You show up, you have to sit in the car. They grab the. It's fucking weird.
Mm.
You know?
I actually got to take my cat to get groomed again soon, though. She's getting like her fur's getting all like nappy and stuff, and like I try brushing it out, but it's like really like it's getting kind of gross. And I'm like, you need a bath, and I know you won't let me give you a bath, so I
Dude,
don't.
will scratch the shit out of you.
Oh, I know. Go
Even
ahead.
just, even just like if cats don't want to get pet, or like they're like you pet them for a while, they want you to do it. When they decide it's too much, you get the swat.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know?
My cat's
Fucker.
my cat's notorious for that. Like she'll let me know when she wants attention, and then I can kind of tell when she gets a little agitated, so I'll stop. But she swatted at me a couple times. I'm like, you got a little attitude on you, don't you? So not like my last cat. My last cat, Tux, he was a saint. He was the friendliest, most outgoing cat, and I felt really bad when he got sick and I had to put him down. But he was like the only cat I ever had that let you give him belly rubs. Like he would just roll over. He would roll over and ask for it. You know what I mean? So
I had a little guy that was the same way. Like he would do the SWAT thing to most other people, would rarely do it to me. He got sick. We tried to deal with it for like 2 years, just like draining. He would get like in his what do you call those abscesses in here in his neck.
yep.
Just because he had a tumor, but no one could really see. It was tiny and it was in his ear canal. And once it got big enough, they saw it, and I mean, even we had to make the call, and it just didn't make sense to even try. It'd be horrible pain.
Yeah.
So we kept him as long as we could until, you know, it was bad and had to put him down. That was my little dude. I still have his ashes like in here.
I still got my cat's ashes too. My cat before him was this cat I had for like 21 years, and you know, I had him since I was a kid, and it was heartbreaking to let him go too when he just hit that age, you know. But Tux I only had for about a year, and he was FIV positive. He was, you know, at the shelter, nobody wanted him, so I felt kind of bad, and I took him in, just immediately fell in love with this cat. He was just so friendly and outgoing, and yeah, I mean, he had his health problems and stuff, but I didn't care. He was my buddy, and you know, he wasn't like a normal cat either, like how normal cats will like circle around and then like knead and then lay down. No, if I was laying on my couch, he would come up right next to me and just plop right over, like right next to me. You know what I mean? Like,
mine was Mika, and he would do this thing where like I always have this, I sit on one end of the couch and the other. I rarely sit in the middle. It's just the thing. And he would come up next to me by my arm on either side and climb me till he was like in my face and like kiss me, and then just like push his head into my, and I'm like, okay, man, gotcha. And you know, he would actually lay on my chest like a baby. It was weird. He lived to be only like 11, almost 12 years old, 12, maybe 12. And you know, we also have a cat that is like fucking 20 years old. A goddamn nuclear bomb could go off, and this female cat will not die. She can't see, she can't hear, she bumps into walls. Thing. Oh well, she's like she seems like the life equivalent of like the old lady at the bar with the cigarette that like falls off the stool but's there every day. That's her in cat form. Like she's always like, rah! But she'll find you and she'll come up to you and you pat her and she'll like, rah! Rah! This really fucking angry meow. And you know, then she'll be like, all right, enough. And then she'll go off and be like, going to sleep.
That's my cat Isabella right now. She's about like 8 or 9. Like I adopted her from the shelter. God, how long has it been now? I don't know. It's been months now. But she sounds like she's been a smoker her entire life, just with the raspiness in her meow, because like a carton a week. She, meow, meow. I'm like, what's wrong with you? Meow. I'm like, what the fuck?
Exactly. It's the
So
type you could be in like 3 rooms away, and you're like, "What the fuck? Is
yeah,
somebody dying?"
it's like an old woman living with you, like, where are my scratchers? You know.
My cigarettes.
Anyway, so you got laid off and then you got hired back. Was that recently?
Yeah, I got laid off. So we stopped doing shows band wise on that 13th, which is Friday. I think the following Monday, it was like, that's it. It was literally that fucking quick. And we were like, okay. And that to me was the first thing, like, if concerts are like that, how many businesses are going to be like that? Fast forward a week, and I was already working from home because they gave us an option, like, hey, if you're asthmatic, diabetic, 65 or older, if you're just concerned, there's like people in my office. Our main office is in Worcester, and my office is in Cromwell, and I'm not the head of the office, but I'm the head of what I do in the office for Connecticut. And I was like, fuck this, dude. I'm not going around because you're going to other people
Yeah,
and you
exactly.
don't know who the fuck has this, that, or the other thing. So also not really having anything and being told, oh, it's nothing to worry about. And it's like, I don't know, man. People are like dropping dead and like people that are way healthier than me are
Yeah.
passing out in the kitchen, and then they're in bed like the party girls on the weekend. I'll never forget. I read a story of like a 25-year-old woman, healthy as could be, no pre-existing condition. It's like a teacher or something. Felt kind of down after going out drinking, and then she was in the kitchen and just kind of like fainted. So I was like, after that, I started looking into like how worse it was overseas, and like, oh shit, this is gonna be fucking bad.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
uh, I kind of felt like something was coming with that, and ended up being like that Friday, like we're gonna have a big meeting on Monday, and it was that everybody was gonna get furloughed. So I was late. I was furloughed, but they literally said, "Hey, we'll cover." They were cool. They're like, we'll cover your health insurance, both your cost and our cost, for 4 to 5 months, 6 months tops, depending on what happens. So fast forward 2 months, I get the call to come back because I got a PPP loan. So, look, same thing happened with my mother. She's still working. She wants to. But, same thing happened with her. She got furloughed off. They called her back part time. I got called back full time because they got that loan. But they said that if they didn't get that loan, we'd still be floating in the breeze, so to speak. And it was rough because you can't do anything. And I have my mental health struggles definitely for the past 11 years, like definitively, like where I knew what it was as opposed to just like, whoa, why do I feel like that? So it's that weird kind of like your guest Kevin last week was saying, that weird thing of like not being able to separate work from home when you're working from home. So I'm also that type of personality that I'm going to give you my best. If I'm working, I'm working. If I'm not working, I'm not working. But when I am, I'll be that dude that stays an hour, 2 hours late because I want to get the project done. I want to get the job done. That's just my work ethic. I'll be the first dude in the studio, the last motherfucker there, closing the door with our producer. And that's just what I do. So, but not being able to like, being told you have to get X amount done, and if you could do this, that'd be great, and if you could even do that, that'd be great, and not being able to have that cutoff was rough.
It stresses you out, it wears you out, I'm sure, like.
Well, because also the strange thing about it was they told us like, when you're off, don't do anything, don't work, and I'm not trying to throw my company under the bus or anything, but it's got that implied thing because I make a great base salary of what I do for a living on my day job, but I can make a hell of a lot more if I close projects on commission. If a project's $500,000, our company take is 150. That's a massive project. But just like I have a project I'm working on that's pretty much those figures. Me and my boss are handling it. We get 25% of that 150 split in two. Even if I only got 10% of that, dude, it's fucking crazy money.
That's a lot of money, yeah.
And that's just one project. That might take me 20 hours, 40 hours, might take me a whole week to do it, but you're constantly working on stuff like that, whether it's small or big. So it's just like
There's
you have
really, yeah,
you
there's
have that
really no
internal
stop.
thing, like, yeah, you have the internal thing where you're going like, well, they said don't do anything, but you don't really want to lose these people here, because down the line, if you do get called back, and you probably will at some point, XYZ. So you end up doing you. So that's weird. And then not being able to practice was a bitch, because, man, that's how I get my shit out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, I know.
like, oh my God, if I didn't have music, I would probably be in a mental hospital. That's how, like, fucking, or at least would just be a very, very, very uptight and high-strung individual all the time.
Have you guys tried zooming or anything like that to like practice, or just nothing?
No, some of us aren't as technologically inclined to pull that together.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's just like we don't really have comfortable places to all do that from, in terms of,
Yeah.
just
I
being
hear
able
you.
to pull it off where it wouldn't be like, holy shit, here's the drums, and then, oh, there's Brian, and you can't hear a fucking word he's saying. But,
Plus, it got really difficult to like get equipment too once everything started shutting down. I'm really glad like I had what I had when I did, because like you couldn't even buy like Logitech cameras. Like after a while, once people started working from home, people were buying cameras, recording equipment, this, that, and the other. So it was really tough to get like anything. So,
and the ironic thing is, my dad was before he passed, was a DJ for 35, 40 years on the radio, and like doing weddings and stuff too, so both ends of it, and owned his own business and everything. And you would think that would come easier, and I would still have like all kinds of gear to do crazy shit. I don't. It's gone.
nah. Well, a lot of it too, I'm sure, is probably worn out over time too. Not all cables and soundboards last forever. You know what I mean? Like no matter how much you take care of them. So
yeah, ironically, the musical stuff that he had, like the microphones, cables, and stands kind of stuff, all in cases, all
that's
were
good.
good. Everything else pretty much was like, toss that out. I pretty much just kept like his on-air recordings and voiceovers and stuff like that, just to have for memories. It's cool to be able to hear your dad when he's not here anymore, from time to time, when that gets you down.
That's cool, man. How did we meet? I don't remember. I know we've been friends through the scene and everything, and we've been friends with a lot of mutual people, but I don't remember exactly when we met.
I want to say sometime in like 2012 or 2013 at a show.
Okay.
I want to say that. Then again, I do have that brain fog and lots of drugs and alcohol up until about 2014, 15.
I hear you, man. I'm actually going to be cutting back on my booze intake now more than ever, because I'm actually trying to get back into shape. I was on the keto thing for a while, and then I fell off, and then I got my back flared up back in January when I was at the gym, and then I was out of work for a month, and then one thing led to another. Then the pandemic hit, and now I'm like 10, 12 pounds heavier than I was. Clothes aren't really fitting right, and I'm like, okay, something's got to change here. So,
Well, that you were asking about the pandemic, just personally on the other side, I did the same thing, where last year I tried keto, and it was a lot like at this past January 2019 through around March, April 2019, and then I started closing and doing stuff for moving into my house, a house in Meriden.
Oh, good for you, man.
Thank you. So I fell off. I wasn't eating like horrible, but like it's a slow descent. And then once I'm in, you're playing catch up. My work is like, what the fuck? Things don't slow down. I fall horribly down on that. I was as big as 334, and I'm 5'8.5". It's pretty heavy. And I just got back onto a program about a month into the pandemic. I'm down to about 285. So it was pretty quick to lose that.
Yeah, I remember we had a talk at one show at Bleachers outside one night, and you were like giving me some tips on keto, and you were going ham on some chef salad and couldn't
Yep.
recommend chef salads enough. So I was like, all right.
Dude, chef salads and Cobb salads are great. The thing I'm on now is it's a version of keto with a lot of protein
Mm,
and little carbs and a decent amount of fat. And it works better for guys or athletes that are either athletes that are constantly kind of going and want to stay in shape, or people that are muscular but have a lot of covering over that.
mm.
So just from going to them and them taking blood and urine samples, and then they have all these weight machines that like send pulses up through your body and figure out your what's your BMI, how much water weight, your all different kinds of percentages in your body, and then I go in week to week and track that and get
Wow.
B12 injections because I have a vitamin deficiency.
Okay.
Um, so B12, B6, and B1 twice a week, and
Well,
that's actually helped tremendously.
well, that's supposed to give you energy too, right? Like it's supposed to turn food into energy.
It does. It feels weird when you feel it kind of like go into your arm. You're like, oh, it doesn't
Mm,
hurt. But you're like, what the fuck? This is weird because you could feel it's something.
mm.
Needles never do. Like whenever I get tattooed, my guy's always just like, none of this hurts. I'm like, nah, dude. It just feels like you're scratching me. It's like whatever, but like that hurt. Like getting those because you
Mm,
feel it go in.
mm.
You're like, what is this foreign thing you're putting in me?
I,
Uh,
I'm all right with
Iron.
needles, just not spinal needles, like the ones where I have to be awake for and get injections for. Yeah, yeah, those suck. Those really suck.
Dude, the only thing pain, I have a high pain threshold. The only thing in horror movies, I'm a huge horror guy. I watch people get disemboweled all day. Anything with the fingernails, toenails, Achilles heel, or eyeballs,
Yeah.
or needles and veins, like
Mm.
shot in certain ways, or like wrist slashing. Those are the things that are like, like that scene where they have Danny Trejo hooked up. I think it's the third one, and he has the fucking thing in his Achilles chain. That was like, oh my god, you fucking asshole. It's
Yeah.
not scary. It's just like,
Yeah, I mean, like I could sit there, I could watch like Evil Dead, like even the
that.
remake, like and me and my buddies were like, when the girl is like cutting her arm off with the fucking electric knife in the fucking kitchen, and I'm, me, not to sound like a psycho or anything, but like that stuff doesn't bother me. Me
Yeah,
and my buddies are making jokes in the back of the theater, laughing, and people are looking at us like we're fucking crazy. But I'm the same way. Like anything with like eyes or anything, like especially like, it just skeeves me out. Like I think Requiem for a Dream fucked me up a lot. Like my
it did me
coworker,
fuck up.
yeah, my coworker, this was years ago. He was like, "Oh, you gotta check out this movie. It's so great." Blah blah. And I'm like, "All right, like I'll check it out." I watched it one time, and that was it. I gave the movie back the next time I saw him at work. I was like, "What the fuck was this movie?" Like I was never like into drugs or anything like that, but I mean like, holy fuck, like that movie scarred the fuck out of me.
Dude, as weird as it is, Ellen Bernstein in that movie was like, that was the hard thing for me. Like the pills, just like, she
Mm,
did a great job. Like that was the most disturbing thing to me, just because of like how old her character was, and
mm.
I could ruin it for people.
What
Yeah,
happened to Jared Leto in that movie too is just like, oh my god! Like you just see like how far the high they got up, like selling the drugs and everything, and then how fast everything just crashed and burned for everybody. And I'm just like,
he
oh,
has a habit of like having really cringe on purpose scenes. Like he's in a movie called Before Night Falls with Johnny Depp and Javier Bardem, which is like harrowing from like like a social standpoint. Dallas Buyers Club, like some of that with him is hard to watch in terms of like abuse and just
yeah.
see what happens. That Fight Club getting his face fucking destroyed, like that's like Jesus, man. you know. So,
He's, he's a good actor. He's a little out there though. Especially now more than ever. I mean, like
he's got like an island where like
he's got he's got his own cult now. Like what the
yeah.
fuck? Like I don't
Doesn't
know.
he acknowledge, like, from what I could have sworn I remember, like he acknowledges that it's like kind of bullshit, and then, right?
I'm sure he's just saying that to like, deceive everybody, but he's a little out there. I mean, come on. I mean, you see the shit that he sent his co-stars from fucking Suicide Squad when he was
I
in.
not. What are you saying?
Oh, dude, he sent him fucking like mad fucked up shit, like used condoms and shit. Like, well, I'm sure it wasn't his stuff in there, but like, just things that the Joker would send, people. Like, they were like, I think somebody got a rat or something. Will Smith got like bullet shells, like, all this other shit. And I'm like, and then when he was on set, like he wanted to be addressed as Joker, like not Jared or anything. I'm like, this dude is so out there, man.
Method
Like, so
cool.
can't turn it off. But oh man,
I'm interested to see his Morbius. I mean,
I'm curious too. I'm not a big fan of like. I guess Sony's okay. Yeah, this is the nerd coming out right now. Like, all right. So, like, just briefly getting into that. Like, I'm still upset that we're only gonna get Tom Holland in one more team up movie with the MCU and one more solo movie with the MCU, and then Sony's taking him back. So pretty much everything after that.
Did they officially say they're taking it back, or did they just say,
They're
"Hey,
not.
that's what we're doing for now, but we may end up
For now, Kevin Feige is already writing him out of the MCU. So, like, this deal is, like, I don't know if it's going to change or what, but, like, we'll see when the time comes. But for right now, that's the plan. And then they're going to integrate Tom Holland into the rest of the Sony Spider-Man universe that's going on with Venom and Morbius.
Why can't you just do both?
I know, right? Like,
Tom Holland's at the age from when he got it to like right now where you can actually get probably 6 full-on solo Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
Maybe even 8, like pop them out every 2 years. Then he's aged out. He still got him in college. There's a lot of villains that didn't get used. He literally has, next to Batman, the best villains.
Oh yeah, we had this discussion. Yeah. We had this discussion on Kevin's episode too. Yeah, he's got the second best rogues gallery.
And there's a lot that aren't there. Like you can anything from like the doppelganger thing with him and Carnage and fucking Venom and all that, straight to a new version of Doc Ock in this impetus, in this version.
I think Sony wants to like push the Sinister Six thing, which they really rushed in the Amazing Spider-Man franchise, and it was god awful. But I mean, if they do it right with Marvel helping the way that it's going right now, I think it could be really successful because you've already had the Vulture, you've already had Mysterio, and now you got Venom. I don't know how they're going to integrate him with everything. That's the one thing I hated about that movie. I was like, I wish they would have waited until Tom Holland had the symbiote suit. You know what I mean? Yep. To do that story right. It wasn't a bad movie, but it wasn't great either.
Venom. I like Tom Hardy as an actor. I dug him and his work as Venom and Eddie a lot. I like the design of the stuff most of the time. Like outside of the way the smile is, like the face, like McFarlane was like, I'd do a little more like this, right? Outside of that, which I would definitely take his fucking advice on, the story was just like, I did like that they used Riot and coming from a planet of symbiotes and stuff. That was fucking cool. Maybe somehow.
That's in the comics too now. Like there's like a whole planet of them. So
that's what I'm saying. Like I dug that, but it was kind of like at the same time it was kind of hollow and the traditional Spider-Man story. Like the best thing of Spider-Man 3 to me was the transformation scene. Like that was fucking cool. Then they just dropped the ball and it was awful. Yeah. And they tried to shoehorn that version of Venom into the story.
Sam Raimi didn't even want to use Venom, and the studio forced him to.
Yeah, Avi Arad fucking made him do it. And like how do you tell Sam Raimi you're wrong? Like first of all, like you should look like, hey, the last two are fucking great. Like this one's headed there. Mm-hmm. And then Avi Arad, I was reading the other day, was just like, yeah, I could finally say I dropped the ball on that one. I was like, well, what, took you fucking 14 years?
Right.
That movie was like 3 hours. It had way too many villains. Everybody cries. It's lame.
Mm.
But I did like how they did the church bell. Like that was fucking cool. And I remember seeing like test video footage of it online. I was like, yo,
Straight out of the comics. That
it's
was
gonna be
awesome.
great. And then I saw it and I was like, it's great. And then like second half of the movie,
Garbage.
first half's too slow. Second half is like, what? Huh? What's going on?
I will say though, like, I am looking forward to the possibility of an actual live action Spider-Verse movie.
That'd be cool.
There's been talks about it, bringing back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and stuff, which is fucking great because I want to see that. But
And having a live action version of Miles Morales too.
that would be dope too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm actually really excited that Spider-Verse is happening too, like the animated movie that they're finally in production right now for the sequels. So that was a great movie. But hopefully Sony doesn't ruin this for me because Spider-Man is definitely one of my favorite superheroes.
I think the way you ruin it is if you eliminate Kevin Feige. Don't do that.
Definitely.
Like, even if they don't want to have him in the MCU, that's cool to me. He's been in a bunch of Avengers movies, and there's other Avengers that you can use, that haven't been used. So, okay. But keep the guy involved that got it off the ground.
Yeah.
And make it work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Keep the team together. Like John Watts. Keep him.
No, Sam Raimi's back, too. He's going to be directing Doctor Strange, too.
I'm fucking stoked. And, dude, a long time ago when he was getting ready for Spider-Man, he looked into doing Doctor Strange before that. Kind of like how Guillermo del Toro, or not Guillermo, Steven, I forget the guy's last name. I want to say it's Steve Norris, but I could be wrong.
I don't know.
Was setting up Blade with Avi Arad. So, let's do it like this. And then Guillermo came in. They picked an equally great guy. And then you would think David Goyer would be a great choice, right? Like, oh, great history. Dude's awesome. And it's like you get Blade Trinity, and it's like, all right, it's not horrible. Can't call it garbage, but it's also not great.
Yeah.
So I think, let John Watts do his thing. Get another guy. Keep, like, your writing team if you can, at least for the story, if not laying out the actual script, and have them, like, kind of work to approve it. And carefully keep that intact, even if, like, John Watts may not want to make 6, 7, 8 Spider-Man movies. But keep, give it to Taika. See if Taika can.
That'd be good.
You know what I mean? Like, there's stuff you can do while keeping everything canon in the MCU and to Sony. You can do that. Like, just acknowledge little things in both that don't harm each other.
Well, time will tell, and they've got plenty of time to figure stuff out now with everything shut down. So, let's get off that topic because I could go on a tangent for like the next 2 hours about shit. But what was growing up like for you? Where did you grow up?
Man, all over the place. I was born in Waterbury Hospital, and lived in Prospect, Waterbury, Naugatuck, Milford for a couple years, and then settled in Bridgeport when I was 6. So I'd moved a lot when I was really young.
Wow.
Wasn't really the most stable. My dad was like bipolar, which we didn't really find out till later in life, like close to his death. So, wasn't the easiest childhood. Like, he would either be the nicest guy in the world. His Father's Day, as we're recording this. Or is that bad to mention when we're doing it?
No. It's fine. I already spoke to my dad earlier and wished him a happy Father's Day. So.
And I loved him to death, but then he could be a real son of a bitch too, with throwing stuff, domestic things. So half and half, but I did have the advantage of being the only son, which most of the time was an advantage. Grew up pretty poor. Like, he didn't make the best financial decisions.
Yeah.
And my mother was pretty much like stay-at-home mom until after my younger sister was like pre-kindergarten or kindergarten. So we ended up moving in after we lost our house with my grandfather on my mother's side, a 3-family house there from when I was 6 till 17 or so. Lived with like 15 to 16 different people. My aunts, it was not your typical neighborhood life, and couldn't really go outside. Lived on a street, Bishop Ave, where on one side you have the Hells Angels at one end, and then on the other side you have the mafia running a strip club. Then across the street on the other side you have a different mafia running a different strip club, and in the middle you have the Latin Kings and gangs.
Jesus.
And shit is rough. So, like, we had people coming in the driveway where my grandfather was like a World War II Polish vet. It's like late 70s, throughout his 80s when I lived there, before he passed. Like, get the fuck out of here, and come in. And like, I remember one guy tried to steal my sister's like strawberry shortcake bike, and he came out and just fucking knocked the shit out of the dude. This is like an 80-year-old man fully kicked the shit out of like 25-year-old muscular dude. So I'm like, damn, Graham's got skills. That was the first thing in my head. I'm like, he seemed to know things more, even though he was in less shape. I wonder how he was able to do that, because it was like frightening. And my dad was working all the time, so and my mother would work too after that point, because.
Were you by yourself a lot of the time, or did you have siblings?
By myself a lot, and I would babysit my little sister and my little cousins. So I had a lot of women around raising me, which was awesome. It helped give me a better perspective, I think, than what a lot of guys have. In terms of like making sense to me, like, you don't talk to a woman like this, you don't do this. Like, a lot of guys forget that, and I never really had that problem. Like, yeah, I would talk back to my mother, stuff, everybody does when you're a fucking kid and teenager, but I always had that respect for my aunt, women and stuff. So I didn't really see, like, when I would see like sexist bias, I would be like, really? I mean, women are pretty awesome, man. Like, my aunts are badasses. My grandma, like, don't take any shit. But yeah, I mean, that was kind of rough. I didn't have a lot of, like, I had friends, but like, I couldn't go play outside much, because it was not the best areas, until going to high school, and then wrestled, played baseball, and then I found out, I can get a job at 15 and a half. Sweet. So I want a car, and chicks are cool. So fuck playing sports. I have the smarts, and I pay attention, or at least I have the work ethic to pay attention to get the good grades. So let me just keep doing that, and then make money, and then I can fucking go out and get chicks. So it's pretty much there. Went to community college for a few years. Didn't really know what I wanted to do, and oddly didn't feel a lot of pressure in high school about, like, in my last year of like, what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? I'm like, kind of don't give a shit. None of it really interests me. And alongside that, at the same time, 6 years old on the music side of things, I got a drum set and a guitar. I started out as a drummer. I was awful at the guitar, didn't take lessons. I would just smash it, strings would break. But I got about as good as I could. I'm super, super flat foot, crow's foot. So once I figured out I couldn't do double bass, that was like, fuck. So I picked up the guitar, and now at around 12, I'm like, oh, that's how you kind of do stuff. My father started me playing and teaching me stuff on his own, because he was a lefty guitar player.
Oh, no shit.
Teach me, yeah. And he's like, back when I was a kid, they used to tell me that it was the devil's way, because you're lefty, you're playing it upside down. I'm like, well, that sounds stupid. So,
yeah, then they used to, like, nuns used to like beat them with like rulers and shit, to like, every time somebody would use their left hand, they would like beat you until you like used your right hand, like try to beat it
yes,
out of
they
you.
did. And nuns still. I went to a Catholic school for all the way till 8th grade, and then I went to Sacred Heart College once I transferred out of community college. So I had it at two ends of the spectrum. And they still did that shit, but for different reasons when I was there. So it wasn't even that long ago, man. Now they're touching kids, so that's it.
Yeah, that's why I don't practice anymore.
Oh man, college,
born and raised Catholic.
College got me away from it, and which is the opposite point. And it was actually through classes on religious theory that pulled me out of it, which is super ironic because they force you to take that. So learning about all different religions and being able to question things with a teacher that clearly didn't want to be backing the religious aspect, yet having to do that was a huge eye opener to me. That when you're a kid, up until you're not totally paying attention to that, you might pick up on a few things. You're like, that's bullshit. Like when I was a kid, I had to do choir and I sucked at it. Never thought I'd be a singer. Hated singing. Fucking hated it. I remember my dad came in my room and I got out of the shower and was like banging on it. Comes in, I'm like, yo, what the fuck, dude? And he's like, you better start fucking singing in choir. And I'm like, okay, man, if it's that important, cool. I just think it sucks. I don't sound good. I'm never going to be a singer.
Look at you now. You play guitar and you sing.
So, I had that musical side, and then I had this, the other normal life side going on. Then they kind of in high school fused to like, all I really wanted to do was play music. But I knew enough to know, like, it's 1 in a million, or at least my head's telling me that. And you get, the parent, like my dad came to me, I think like halfway through my senior year, and that's when he started getting on me to like pick something. And I was like, I don't know. He's like, well, you're going to go to community college and you're going to go for finance or business or something. Pick something out where you make money.
Sounds like my dad.
Yeah, if I could take it back all over again, I would completely not have gotten my degrees. I would have went to a trade school. I originally wanted to be a screenwriter and filmmaker first before even being a musician. Still would kill to do that. I write scripts.
What's stopping you?
Often. Well, time, really, but I guess it's a bullshit excuse, isn't it?
Especially right now,
Well, right now there's a few things that I'm doing aside from that musically that we can get into, but that for the right now is keeping me from it. But it's something that I definitely have been thinking a lot more about in the past few years, and come to realize that, not to sound like this might sound buffoonish or idealistic, but it's a lot easier these days to sell some kind of a content to a television and internet channel. There's a lot more options out there for somebody to pick up your material, and then what they do with it, and if it's good and successful, maybe you can get a career out of it. So I'm less hesitant to do it because the reward seems better now and more achievable now than
Well, I mean,
years
a
ago.
lot of it too is like independent film festivals too. Like they usually get picked up and bought before done like in studios or anything or something like that. But like I don't know all the ins and outs, and I don't want to claim that I do because I really don't. But I've thought about that kind of stuff too. I thought about getting into acting again because I did that a little bit back in high school, and I've got a background in video editing and everything like that. And I've had a few ideas myself, and now it's just trying to find time myself to do it. But I totally get it. But I mean, if you're ever interested, like down the road, if you ever want to work on a project, let me know. I'd be interested in helping out in some way.
Dude, 100%. I really love like the writer directors like Robert Eggers, guys like that, like and Ari Aster, Hereditary, Midsummer, Lighthouse, The Witch, like really personal, smaller stories. And I've read several books on the subject in terms of like how to be a successful screenwriter, director, whatever. And they all say, from the most popular ones right down to like more obscure ones, the theme is pick something that you can do on a very small budget and be able to sell that, because people don't want to spend money, but they want to get the reward. And if
look at Sam Raimi, what he did with The Evil Dead. I mean, I read Bruce Campbell's book, his first one, on how they got all that off the ground and started, and they had a really low budget, but they had to sell, you know, or shop around their product to get investors to like pay for it and everything. I think the budget was something like it was almost 100,000, but it was like something low. And
Well, they had originally first like him and the Coen brothers and his brother were like super tight.
yeah, they were living together too, if I remember correctly, for a
Yep.
little while. Yep.
And they were both doing like gaffer, like gopher or whatever you call it. Second unit camera guy here for like a bunch of different projects. And as the '80s started coming around, Sam and Ted and Bruce Campbell did. I think it was called Into the Woods or like Beware the Woods, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, it was like a really rough first draft of what Evil Dead was gonna become.
Then they got $100,000 to do that. That was a midnight movie success. That did pretty well. And then I forget what company it was that was making it. It was like, okay, let's do that, but better, and then make it a little different. We'll call it the sequel. And instead of coming back to that, the Coen brothers made Blood Simple, and here we are. But yeah, even Blood Simple, super, super. Anybody can conceive something that small, but the quality of something that small and low budget that's that fucking good, between that and the Evil Dead films, it depends on the talent, depends on what comes out of it.
True.
But also there's the end where like I could write something that's great, somebody picks it up, and a director turns into a horrible piece of shit.
Totally just destroys it too, you know what I mean? Like, and changes everything. So no, I totally get it, man. Like,
so I think in terms of what I would be like comfortable and just not mentally anxious about would be to write some stuff. I have several scripts that I've kept that I would come back to and just kind of polish off, and then new stuff since I haven't been writing in that realm. Try to pitch those out, but then also shoot maybe some of our music videos to get a little bit more used to behind the camera again. I've actually done some independent film work as a first AD, so I have a little bit of that under my belt for super low budget stuff in Connecticut. But that would be kind of like, hey, let's start real small, like the Kevin Smith Clerks. I wouldn't even want to be maxing out my credit cards. I got a house.
Oh.
Jeopardize it. But I think there's a way to do that, and you'll probably see some stuff within the next 5 years from me.
Well, very cool. I had no idea you did any of that, man. That's really cool. And like I said, man, if like you ever want to need some help or you want to work on something, let me know. I'm definitely interested.
Dude, I'm always open to stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. That's really cool, man. So that was growing up, and you dabbled a little bit on getting into music. When was the first time did you start your own band? Like, was it in high school or something, or did you?
No, I was a late bloomer to like starting to be in a band because my dad came from the radio background.
Okay, yep.
All my life, like, and he did everything from metal and rock back in the 80s and 90s when it actually sold records on a significant level anyway. Pop music, jazz music, blues music, straight up news for WICC. He worked with Howard Stern way back in the day in the 70s, DRC in Hartford. So like, he was a pretty well-known dude in radio in Connecticut, New York. And so I was always kind of fascinated by that. My first memory of life, he would always get, when at least back in the day when you're a radio, you get promo copies of the album. So you get the LP or the CD. My first memory of life, and it's still my favorite record to this day. I don't care how cheesy some people might think it is. Appetite for Destruction, Guns N' Roses. My dad brought it home, and he played it, and I was dancing to it and singing along. And I remember that from my perspective.
Yeah.
We actually have film footage of it still, and I still have that tape to this day. and it always makes me laugh. But that's still my favorite record.
It's a really great album. I mean, like, as overplayed as it is today, I mean, it's still really good, you know. And I can't
Like
think of anybody that, you know, you put on a Guns N' Roses song that, you know, automatically they already know the lyrics already. You know, it's that iconic.
And back then, like, yeah, okay, so like now I don't listen to Sweet Child of Mine, Welcome to the Jungle. Paradise City is the one where it's like that still kicks ass.
Yeah.
But I listen to like It's So Easy, Mr. Brownstone, Night Train, all the stuff that's like immortally cool. That was more like, man, if you listen to that, that's the real shit on that record, man. That's what you listen to. But I got like my taste from him just from what I was exposed to, and like I knew when I didn't like something, I knew when I did. He listened to a lot of folk music, like Peter, Paul, and Mary, the Kingston Trio. I fucking hated that. The two that I liked that were anywhere near that were Bob Dylan, and I still have a bit of a problem with the voice sometimes. Depends on the song and the era. And Johnny Cash, and still to this
Love
day,
Johnny Cash.
But you know, he would encourage that. He would buy me 45s for my little like record player and shit. And you know, my cousin exposed me to Metallica. I was like, what is this? 5. Then Iron Maiden, and my dad's like, if you want to listen to Iron Maiden, this is a CD you got to buy. So the first CD he like personally bought me was Number of the Beast. So from there I was like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah.
You know, and you go deeper down the rabbit hole. But still, I would listen to everything from Dave Matthews, Radiohead, Pink Floyd, Queen, the Buzzcocks, all stuff because of the people around me, friends and family, to just like, I remember discovering Dimmu Borgir and black metal. I had no fucking clue what it was. I discovered it because they did a cover of Burn in Hell by Twisted Sister. And I was looking for that like online, and I just happened to stumble in the late 90s onto their version. I was like, this isn't Twisted Sister, but this is badass. Who is this? Found out and it was labeled Metallica, which was weird. And it was not Metallica. Nope. I found out it was Dimmu Borgir. And then I listened to the one with Morningstar. Forget the name of the album, but awesome album. And I was like, what is this music? It's amazing. What else is like this? So then you dig down the rabbit hole. Late to the Party with Slayer, and then into Cannibal Corpse and like really fucking heavy stuff. But basically all that kind of built up, and going to college, I figured out because I looked older, I was able to get in. I always had the facial hair. I would be able to get into karaoke and crowds.
I had the same face at 16, so
be able to get into strip clubs and karaoke bars. And if I wanted to, you know, as a freshman, you want to go and hang out with chicks that are seniors, it's not a bad thing. They're into karaoke, cool. So you go there and, you know, fuck, what do I sing? And I'm like, okay, I could mimic like Incubus and radio shit and like radio stuff. And that'll probably impress the chicks. Okay, let me do that. And so I found through listening and singing along, I had this weird ability to be able to match notes and then correct myself and figure out where in my throat and in my my diaphragm and stomach and everything, chest, the certain notes would come from. So then it went into metal, and now every day in my car, I'm listening to all different types of music. If I couldn't sing it, I would know it and then try to get there. And around that time, I was already writing my own songs. Didn't really have a plan to do anything with them. It was a lot of like pop, acoustic stuff, basic rock, and then then a couple friends. I met the co-founder of The Shape, Chris Carlino, through a buddy of mine named Anthony, and we kind of bonded over our love of metal and stuff. And Ant wanted to have a pop punk band, and I wasn't really a fan of that stuff, but I'm like, playing in a band is pretty cool, and in college it might be fun, and I kind of want to do this. This is pretty cool, and I built up the confidence, played some shows, and just at the time, the guy, I was just like, dude, I can't work with this fucking guy. And me and Chris were like, I want to play metal. So we started writing stuff on the side.
Yeah.
Around 2005. So that's pretty much the start of The Shape, like fall 2005. And then around February '06. It was like right after, was it President's Day or somewhere around then. We named it and said, okay, we're going to have our exit strategy from that and go to this. So that's kind of how I got into the shape.
Wow, you guys have been around that long. Holy shit.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome.
Well, I mean, I say 2005 because the people were lined up.
Yeah.
2005, but the way we got our name is I was going through that guy Anthony didn't want to write the lyrics. He was like, I'm not good at that stuff. He would like go party and like we would work on music, and I'm like, yeah, we'll party later, man, but like I kind of want to do this, you know. So I would end up writing the lyrics, and I'm like, okay, cool. I wasn't that great at it, but you do it enough over time and you start
you get better at it.
Getting all right. And I already liked writing, so it was kind of a natural fit. So in doing that, we end up with a bunch of songs, and there was a song that had the name The Shape in it, and Chris was like, our music's like a killing machine. Like there's a lot of like sludgy riffs on it, because our initial record was a little bit more spacey and weird and alternative metal. It was like this oddball thing, The Last Great Awakening. And one of the songs from that other band, I'm looking at it and he's like, it's a killing machine. And then I'm like, colors, this, shape, killing machine, shape. Why does that sound familiar?
Mike
and
Myers.
I thought, exactly. And huge gigantic horror fans tattooed on me. I got all my favorite slashers of all kinds. I'm like, dude, I remembered the Loomis speech in that moment. And I was like, that's it, dude. He describes him as a soulless killing machine. That's it. He is pure evil. And I just said, I was like, dude, The Shape. And he's like, oh, like in Halloween. I'm like, there you go. Boom.
There you go.
And yeah, so that's how that came in.
Very cool, man. Yeah, and you guys should definitely check out The Shape, man. Like they've been around for a while now. Like we said, we played some shows in the past together, and they're just fucking bunch of great dudes, great heavy music too. And you guys, we'll get into that in a little bit, but you guys have a new record that you're working on right now at Dexter's, and Dexter's has come up so many times with all of my guests. How is your experience going at Dexter's right now?
Well, there's a few things to unpack there. For one, this is a strange record we're making.
Ooh.
And it has a story behind it. But things are great. Nick is fucking awesome. Nick Belmore, Toxicologist, Josta, King of Sorrow, fucking Josta the band. Awesome dude. So we did our first record literally in this dude, not in Nick, this other guy, Dave Lestraco. He was awesome. He taught us how to be a band and how to record things. Our first record, we recorded it 4 times because he had a house flood. He had issues with, like, we recorded it to tape. Like, so we were like we recorded an analog, like all of us placed in different booths, pillows around the amps to like, for noise cancellation and stuff. So this huge board from a studio from the 70s. So our first record sounds so fucking weird. We don't have it up on Spotify. We're gonna put it up, and I'll get into why. But we did that. It took us like 2 years to do it, 2.5 years. And Chris ended up leaving for a short bit. We got Pete, our current drummer, and he's been here ever since. And we did a second record after a brief name change for about a year to Imperia, just because we had a guitar player who was kind of a douche. And he didn't want to keep the name The Shape, and I'm like, I don't get it, because we have people that come out to the shows, but all right, whatever, it's the same shit. So I don't give a fuck. Heavy on drugs days.
Yeah.
But then I said, nah, fuck that. We're gonna change it back. So we made that second record. Everybody quit except me and Pete, and we kind of had to rebuild. So we did the record in New York with my sister's boyfriend at the time, who was a really good engineer, and I was like, fuck it, let's do it with him. Sounded decent. We ended up putting it out just this last December. So that record's like 7 years old.
Wow.
We worked 2 tracks of it. It's called The Impurity. It's on our Bandcamp only. And, we got sued for the name Imperia. I did personally, even though,
Holy fuck.
yeah, I know. I had a cease and desist on me, all this kinds of crazy shit. The producer broke up my sister, moved to Los Angeles. The files are like, I are gone out to what I think. And then I had masters in my trunk when I was moving back in 2013. I get into a car accident where somebody hits me, crushes it, masters are destroyed.
Jesus.
So I don't know what the fuck happened to it. All the copies we have of it were like the demo stages of stuff, so I'm assuming it's lost. Found it, went to Nick, have him remaster it to the extent he could, and added 2 tracks that were missing. Salvaged it. Um, Prior to salvaging it, we did Mask of the Red Death. That was awesome. Loved that. That was our first time working with Nick. Long-winded answer for you, but he was really cool because it was the first time somebody would turn around and go, that sounds good if you want it to suck. And then we're like, whoa, the fuck you mean by that, man? And he's like, I'm saying, like, he would say stuff like, wow, you guys really know how to kill a riff. I'm like, what do you mean? 5 guitars on one part is fucking great. The more guitars, the better. He's like, hear it like this, how you guys have it. And it's all this technical proggy, like all this shit all over the place. And our brains at the time were very much like into that. And he's like, now hear it like this. And it's the way he heard it. And we were like, yeah, that sounds a lot better.
Yeah.
So we would default to like, okay, let's trust this dude. But we still had, you know, what we envisioned the thing to be. And got that out, had a really good response, which was awesome because we couldn't even put that other record out at the time. So it kind of helped us get back around and into a bunch of new areas and stuff. Because we started not so much playing North Connecticut. When we started, we ended up playing New York, New Jersey. We did a lot of out-of-state stuff first. And the places in Connecticut we would play when we were younger, there weren't a lot of places that would want us to play. So like Steve Rogers, forever grateful for him at the space. He's the guy that gave us a shot to play. And
didn't he have a band called Steve Rogers Neighborhood? Was that the same one?
He had the Mighty Purple, and he has his own acoustic stuff. Maybe he did. I'm not sure.
I'm just thinking, there's a show that In the Red played a long time ago at the Space, and I think that was the name of the
band. It was
band.
at the Space, and it was called Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and he showed up on stage wearing a Captain America suit, and I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? Like it was so crazy, but it was cool at the same time. But I'm like, oh, the band's called Steve Rogers Neighborhood, okay, and the guy's in a cap suit. I get it. Like that was cool. So. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That would definitely be him if that was at the Space for sure. But he was always the most chill, caring, awesome dude. He gave us our start where nobody else would. But we'd always buy at the soundboard. They would say, "Hey, at the end of the night, we'll give you this disc if you pay us $10. It's going to be the soundboard recording for you guys." So we would play there as much as we could to hear our progress, right? And that helped us get better like a lot. And like, it's kind of like if you're a wrestler studying your tapes back, or an actor, like, oh, yeah, it looks a little cheesy now that I'm watching back. Don't do that so much. It helps a lot. So we only really played around there. We played Toads a bunch of times, Amity Teen Center, like anywhere we could basically play, paying our dues. And then we would go out of state a lot because we had a really good promoter named Tim 37, Tim number 37, Tim Martinez in New York, who's an awesome friend to this day. And he would put us up in really cool shows. So we ended up playing more around out there. And then obviously the Websters and doing the opening spots and all that good stuff. But hitting it hard in terms of like local stuff, I'd say mostly 2012, 13, 14 when we were working on Mask. We beat the shit out of Connecticut for years just because we hadn't done that before.
And I think that's when I caught wind of you guys, because I just saw your name coming up a lot, and I think that's probably when you and I met at some show. So yeah.
Well, by that point, we had now played like 300 shows because we were just taking them. Like, and we would play as Imperia. Like, there's a period where I worked for Circuit City. We went under, went to another place, went under, and once that happened, I'm like, fuck, and I'm kind of not in the best of ways with alcohol, drugs, and anxiety. Not anything crazy like heroin or crack or meth or anything, but just not in my right frame of mind. You know, I'm the death metal dude with like hair down his back and the whole nine, and not in the right frame of mind. Really depressed, panic disorder, you name it. And what we would do is a couple times a week we would play shows 4 hours long, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and do covers from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, of stuff that was good, and also shoehorn a set of ours as a clause saying, hey, but we want to be able to do a set of our own music. We did that for so long. I lived off that money for like a year. You do that and you make $7,500 a show as a member, you know, you can kind of do your thing. Snapped out of it, got clean, went to start a new career, and here we are on that end. But yeah, we just played as many places as possible. Met guys like John Shrew that would put us on shows, and Opus would put us on shows, and just kind of grew out from there. And then that's all we did for like 3 years. Didn't even write a song. And then we started working on The World Away, and that ended up being a big thing for us, which was awesome.
Yeah, you guys got some coverage on, what was it? Was it Loudwire, or it was one of those big websites?
Loudwire, Blabbermouth, Brave Words. We got on the Billboard charts for 3 weeks to a month on quite a few charts. It shocked me. Like, we were number one in the Northeast in our first week, and it blew my mind because I'm the guy that, like, if you have the afar view of me, you might be like, this guy seems fucking weird. But if you know me, I'm the dude that in the back of his head is like, no chance in hell is any of this gonna happen. Right? Like, I'm very like, all right, everybody, temper your fucking expectations here. And then when something crazy happens, I'm like,
yeah,
you know,
I was really happy for you guys when I saw that. I was like, holy shit, like these guys are doing it, man. Like, congrats on that.
Well, you get told on the weekend that it's probably gonna happen. So I remember waking up like hungover after a party where it was like, I think I woke up at like 12 noon, and so I'm getting like, hey, fucking answer your emails. I'm like, what? What is so important? That I go in my fucking email, and it's like from Billboard. It's a guy saying he's from Billboard. And I didn't see his insignia. So I'm just like, who the fuck is pranking me? Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, yeah, okay. I responded like, yeah, okay, man, ... And then our manager at the time was like, no, dude, that's like real. And I was like,
oh, fuck.
oh. Like, for real, for real? Yeah. Like, get the fuck on him. Like, oh, and I just like, I had to like take like 15 minutes of it. What? And then I saw the actual charts, and like everybody gets to it before you do, because you're not, you have real life and doing things. And I remember seeing that we beat out Dead Cross, which was fucking one of my favorite singers, Patton, Mike Patton from Faith No More, his band with Dave Lombardo. And I was like, no fucking way, dude. And that was like, god damn. So I was like, dream world state for like a while, like not believing it was like Truman Show or something. Like, no way.
What was the number you guys were on Billboard? The highest you guys got?
Well, it's different for whatever category. So for the Northeast, we were number one. For hard rock albums, we were like, that encapsulates metal and hard rock. It's like a Trivium, but also like Pop Evil, stuff like that. I think we're like 25, 24.
Damn, that's pretty good, man.
We stayed there for a while. I think for the 200, it was like 190 something. It was like way far back. But I'm dude, a win's a win, man.
Yeah.
And there was one other chart we were on. I know our single, The World Away, was on rock charts, like in like not top 50, but like hovering around there. Did really good on the metal charts, which was cool. So it was a trip, man. And that record actually is like the one I'm least attached to, which is the other part of it. It's like I'm attached to it in an extent where it's like the first time that I really hint at like personal stuff, but it's still written from a writer's perspective of here's a story in each song, and it's got a moral of the story to it that hopefully means something to you, but then underneath there's a very specific meaning of what it is to me, you know. But I don't want to say that out and about. I'd rather you figure it out for yourself. You know?
Well, why don't we get into a little bit of that, because you dabbled a little bit about it throughout the episode so far, that you struggle from some mental illness, and you know, you've had some substance abuse problems. So what exactly was going on in your life that, you know, where all that led to? You know what I mean?
Well, you know, I always had this thing growing up, and it was always more so a family thing. It's hard to acknowledge that. Like when I was I was always that guy in like high school and college where like, I got it. I do everything for everybody. And I'm that dude that will go, there's no pressure big enough. You know what I mean? And wanting to be like the champion for your mother, your father, being able to do everything for your band. Like, boss, what do we do? I'm not the boss, but if somebody's got to do stuff, okay, like being that guy. I'm used to being that guy or optioning myself up as that guy, even if it's probably not a good thing for me to do personally from a mental health perspective. And I just don't like to be limited to like, you can't do that. No, I could fucking do that. But sometimes can and should are two different things. So growing up, you know, my dad and I, as I got older, would get into a more contentious relationship, you know, before he got sick in 2009. So from, I'd say, about the time I graduated till then, I crashed a few cars of my own. I got into a major accident that wasn't my fault, that I got blamed for, where I was literally stopped at a light, hurt my back. From there, I had a bad couple engagements too. Things that will fuck your head up, man. Like, I don't want to go into that kind of stuff for them, but, you know, lots of weed, cocaine, parties, alcohol, pills. Thankfully, not to the extent of, you know, something like a Requiem for a Dream or anything, but to the extent where my chemical balance in my head and body, along with, as I was obviously aging physically as a person, mixed with horrible diet, horrible attitude, and just literally being depressed. You know, it's, you know, a lot of people think, you know, being depressed is, oh, you're fucking sad all the time. That's not the case, man. Like, there would be times where I would lay on the couch and I wouldn't get up. I would cry in the shower. And I did not have any fucking idea why. I had no clue at all. And I'm thinking like, and I'm just like, I just want that to end. Not like suicide or anything. I don't believe in that, you know, because just from a personal perspective of like, I know that's not a way out. That's going to do a lot worse to others than it's going to do for me. And I've never subscribed to that, and I never want to. I don't think I ever will. But, you know, stress, all that combined, not being able to hold jobs during a bad economy period, despite me trying and having, you know, a good resume and degrees to, you know, you're in a band, you succumb to shit sometimes you probably shouldn't be doing. And not having and then not being at that point like a self-sustaining adult at like 25, where you got to live at home and not, you know, that's a blow for a person who's like, hey man, I don't want to be a leech, I want to have my own place to do that, and you're not. All that shit comes crashing down, and that's pretty much what happened to me. Went to the mental hospital twice for checks, and like I had a major panic attack in 2009, 9 or 10, like late 09. And we were supposed to be playing a show at the Webster Theater. I know it's a long response, but I'm trying to answer.
No. Please go on.
We had because this is like a literal pinpointed incident of when everything crashed down for me. Now, prior to this, I'll preface this with I had no, like, my sister is my older sister is a schizophrenic type A, which akin to like heavy bipolar but light schizophrenic.
So you have a little bit of mental illness in your family.
Yeah, but it was not something that she was born with. It's something that developed. My dad later in life found out
bipolar.
At the same time, bipolar. So, and he didn't believe in medication. He was like, psychiatry, psychology is horse shit. You don't need medication. He was like that.
Yeah.
So like that's some of the stuff where
that was from his generation too, because I had this discussion with family. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no,
I mean, like, I got a family that are semi-retired psychologists or whatever. They deal with a lot of children and stuff today. But they're both respected in their careers and everything. But they grew up in the generation where mental health was like, you just shut up about it. Like, you don't talk about it. You were raised that way. And if you were feeling a certain way, you just bottled it up deep down inside. And like, I look at my dad like that because he had a lot of problems growing up with, alcoholism in his family, an abusive father, and, just a rough childhood. And he was taught to just shut up about it. You know what I mean? How he was feeling. So I get it. You know what I mean? And now today, more than ever, mental health is a big issue in this country. And we're able to express it more and talk about it more and have, we're not going to look, I mean, there's still some stigmatism with people when you say, I saw a therapist today, and some people are like, well, this person must be crazy then. That's not the case. You know what I mean? Like, I have some stuff that I need to work out and I need help getting there, and a lot of people are more accepting of it now today more than ever, which is great, so I'm sorry. I went off on a little bit of a tangent.
No, not at all.
So, but go ahead. You were talking about, your dad.
Yeah, so he had all that, and a large part of the contention in terms of when I was growing up with, like, he would say things about it that would piss me off, and I would escalate and be like, yo, stop picking on her. It's not her fucking fault. You don't have to make her cry. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So, and on the same time, I was that guy going to the gym. I was fucking ripped. I took martial arts for years, secondary black belt, judo and jiu-jitsu. The most frightening thing in the world is you can be as tough as you want, but if this starts going, your brain starts eating away at itself on you. There's nothing you can do. You're powerless. You can't physically fight that. You can't shoot it. I mean, you could commit suicide, but that, to me, that's not an answer.
And that's great for you, but unfortunately for a lot of people, that have suicidal thoughts, like I've had friends that have committed suicide. You know what I mean? And
that's not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I've definitely some of our songs have been influenced by suicidal thoughts I've had. Yeah. My thing is that will never be.
You'll never let yourself get that far, and that's great. Unfortunately, it's out of the hands of a lot of people.
And who knows? I could be full of shit, and
I'm not saying that. I'm really glad that you have that kind of mental strength to get through that, and I feel strong enough myself where, like, I've had suicidal thoughts myself too, and I've come close myself. And even, like I said in I think it was episode 8 when I was talking to Blue Rivera, that what led me to go back to therapy in 2018 all through 2019 was just this big emotional roller coaster between dealing with my ex and my father and family members and sticking up for my mother and not focusing on me at all. And I was just so emotionally drained between that and work and stress and all that other stuff that I was apparently plotting my own demise, and I didn't even realize it. You know what I mean? Like, I was talking to Scott and Jeannie and gave them the key to my apartment just in case, God forbid, anything ever happened to me. I was writing out, emergency contacts, and I had, like, instructions, like, in case something ever happens to me, these are my wishes. And then I finally came to the realization, I'm like, am I planning on killing myself? Because it seems like something a person would do before they kill themselves. And I was like, okay, something's definitely wrong here. What's going on? And I reevaluated all that. And I was like, I think I need to talk to a therapist. I feel like if I don't, I'm going to hurt myself because there's a lot going on in my life that I'm not processing or dealing with well enough. And I can't do this alone. So, and that's when I got back into therapy. So, but
glad you did, man.
Thanks, man.
But yeah, so all of that stuff is just swirling and building up, and then you have that anger too against someone you love. And I'm glad I kind of glad that this happened to me because I was able to repair that before he left, you know? And so it's all that stuff just kind of building up inside of me. And then at the same time, at this point, 3 years, 4 years removed from college, I'm like, there's no God. God doesn't exist. Like that's my thing. And I'm like angry and trying to figure out what I think. And oddly enough, Satanism paganism is kind of like where my head lies with a lot of stuff in terms of beliefs. People will hear that and go, "Oh my God, you're a horrible fucking."
Yeah, I hate that shit. It's like,
it's all about love and not squashing people's beliefs and rights.
I'm not saying I'm a Satanist, but I do get a lot of the beliefs behind it, and I do agree with a lot of it too. It's not like I'm saying, "Oh fuck, hail Satan, hail the devil, fuck the," I'm not
I say
like
it
that.
To,
you know what I mean?
I say it to piss off Christians that are like uppity, or not uppity. It's a horrible word to use. Christians that are just super like down your throat about stuff. I'll say, "Hail Satan, brother," and that's it. I always say it with a smile, but I'm not afraid of. I'm not afraid of that dark imagery and stuff, and I think there's a lot of awesome romanticism in those ideas and Luciferianism.
I love that picture of you at the Church of Satan with the devil there. That was really good.
Great, they are great people, man.
Yeah.
They really are great people. One of the most welcoming groups of people I've ever met in my life.
That's another stigmatism people need to get over. Is some of the stuff with the Church of Satan is like, the community.
Oh, dude, it's way kinder than Catholics, Catholic churches, Jewish synagogues that I've been to. 7-Day Adventist. My dad, sidetrack how I know about this stuff. Small point is that my dad kind of went through like a midlife crisis where for about a year we were going to different religious places to kind of see what he believed in, and he grew up like.
So he was doing the murder face from Metalocalypse.
Pretty much, yeah. He grew up Protestant. My mother grew up Catholic. We all didn't like any of it except my older sister. She's actually really religious. But that's how I kind of know from firsthand experience all that stuff. So everything from crazy ass 7-Day Adventist, not Scientologist. I just read up on that on my own. You see enough, and you're like, I don't need to delve into that anymore. I'm good. But Buddha, like my younger sister believes in a lot of Buddhist stuff. Her and I are like fucking twins. 3.5, 4 years apart. So, but all that stuff being like, man, you add in like, oh man, we're nothing. We die. That's it. This is meaningless, pointless. And you've got a disaster recipe for a mental breakdown. And that's essentially what happened to me around 2009, 2010. My dad got sick at this period, but my family didn't tell me for about 6 months. I was going to concerts, getting drunk, like going to see Trivium, and I had come back from living in New Jersey for a little bit with a buddy of mine, New Jersey and Philly, really, on the Philly-Jersey line. And I found out one night, I was like, what the fuck happened? And they told me, like, well, and I was pissed. So the next time I went back to Philly, I brought a fucking, like, a full ounce of weed, or 2 actually, smoked all of it within a week and a half with my buddy. Went around to all these different, you go to the Liberty Bell, you got all this different stuff. And went to some concerts, went to some crazy casino things, did a whole bunch of drugs by accident, and it's like a hangover movie. I'm not even going to get into the story because it'll take forever. But, that happened, and I'm feeling off. I'm feeling like sweaty, getting like paranoid, like feeling like really anxious, and I don't really have an idea why. I'm just thinking, I smoked too much weed. I drank too much. Shouldn't have snorted this Adderall. Shouldn't have taken that speed by accident from that fucking guy at the casino. And I'm kind of in the back of my head saying maybe I need to stop trying to do stuff like that. And I remember coming home from hanging out with him. We had a business where we made like a website called Heavy Metal Now, where we built a player with a programmer that played all the different subgenres of metal, which at the time, nothing really existed like that, which was cool. It was a hard thing to try to do. And, we would review albums too. So we were working on that, and that was super fun and a good distraction. But distraction ceased to work one night. came home. I wasn't feeling good. I walked up the street from like the office where they were at. They had my friend Chris had a business with a real estate guy that did like AdWords and shit like that, like Google AdWords and all that kind of stuff, where they would make some serious money from doing like articles and all this different stuff. And we used that space and would work out of there. I remember walking out at like 6 o'clock, and I just had that butterfly feeling in my stomach, and I don't know why. There's nothing. I'm not antsy about anything. I just actually settled a lawsuit from when I got in that accident where the person hit me and crushed those demos. I'm like, dude, I don't know what this is, but I feel like I should call my mother. So I called my mother, and I was like, hey, just wanted to, she was like, why are you calling me right now? I'm like, I don't know, like, just want to say hey, and was just describing, like, I don't know, I just feel really, like, antsy out of it, and I'd never experienced a panic attack. That was totally what was happening. It was an anxiety attack that went into a full-blown panic attack. So I go back inside, I was like, Chris, we gotta, like, go. Can we get out of here? So he's like, yeah. We go back to his place, and we put on a comedy. I was like, I just want to smoke some weed, de-stress. Wrong idea. Smoked. I was like, I'm gonna do some push-ups, man. So I'm doing some push-ups. Nothing's working. My heart's starting to go. Going to the bathroom, drinking water. I'm like, dude, you got to take me to the hospital. I'm thinking I'm having a heart attack.
Yeah.
You know, and I wasn't really in horrible shape in terms of my body, but I was not healthy from just all the shit I had and the horrible diet and all the coffee and all that on top of it. So that we went, and I'm like, you don't realize it, but I'm in the lobby, and you get, where's your insurance? I'm sitting there for an hour. And I'm like walking around like a crazy person, probably to other people, going, why aren't they seeing me right now, man? I'm gonna die. Get me in there. And like after literally an hour and change, the guy's like, come here, takes my my blood pressure and my pulse. They bring me in, give me an EKG, and like after the EKG, I kind of started coming down a little bit, which was the later I acknowledge that as the first time of like, that's me amping myself up, right? So then I get put in a small cube room by myself, and there's like people talking outside, and I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I'm just freaked out. Eventually, some students came in, and they're like, hey, can we ask you a couple questions? And I'm like, yeah. Do you ever feel like you want to kill yourself? I was like, no, I want to fucking kill myself. And all those questions that they ask you, and I'm thinking like, get me a fucking doctor, man. I think I'm going to explode. So they get the doctor in, and they're like, sir, Mr. Almeida, if you didn't tell me you smoked cigarettes, I'd have no idea. If you didn't tell me that you did any kind of drug, I would have no idea. Your health is fine. Your EKG came back perfectly normal at the time. What you have is stress. You have a stress issue. Do you know what anxiety is? I'm like, no. I'm like, okay. And so that led me on a path to, I left, came home to Connecticut the next morning. And I'm like, maybe that was just it, and it's whatever. Smoke a cigarette at one of the rest stops in Jersey, and immediately this cigarette triggered like a panic attack. So I have a full-blown panic attack on the way home. I have in my head that there's something wrong with me, that I have no idea what it is. I feel like it's fucking doomsday. And we had a battle of the bands to play that night. So I came home. I got my gear while having a panic attack and faking it from my family. They're like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I go and I do the show, and our old bass player, Matt Baldino, is like, hey, man, you should eat something, man. I think you maybe just need some, like, orange juice. We walk around the building, like, 5 times. I go on. I do the show while still having panic attacks, sweating. We totally lose because I fucked it all up. It's a horrible show. And I don't remember a goddamn thing other than we did it, and I was freaked out. Dropped him off, went home, and I was staying at my parents at the time. I was like, Mom, can you take me to the hospital in the morning? I don't know why I thought maybe hearing from a doctor from our home was like a good thing or would change anything. But I think I might have been thinking like second opinion.
Yeah.
So I remember like pulling the covers, and like it was like I was on mega cocaine, dude, and it was nuts. And I had not even had caffeine or anything. So I remember I jumped up in the middle of the night like Shawn Michaels kip up off the couch.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, no, no, I'm gonna die. Drank some water, and she's like, calm down, calm down, calm down. Again, I have no idea what this is. I don't know what panic disorder is. I don't know what generalized anxiety disorder is. I don't know what major depressive disorder is. And half of my experience is hearing that it's bullshit, right? So go to the hospital. They take my belt and my shoes. I'm laying down. They're doing all these health tests. They're actually a lot meaner. This is Bridgeport Hospital. So they're like, do you want to kill yourself or harm other people? I'm like, no, I feel like I am going to die. Help me. So they recommend me to a doctor. My doctor gives me Lexapro and Xanax, the generic form. And I didn't want to take the Xanax because of shit I read.
Yeah.
And at the time. And then I was like, okay, I'll take the Lexapro. And it doesn't do shit for 10 days. So I have like a state of like paranoia level, like, Secret Service is going to shoot the president and I'm the president kind of paranoia. Yeah. I'm like, I'm going to blow up at any minute, which is obviously, as someone who's suffered with mental health issues, if you've ever had bad anxiety, that is not logical. That is not going to happen to you. Yeah. But telling yourself or hearing that from somebody else doesn't really mean shit when they're not you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So on day 10, I remember taking that. I start feeling like, oh, sun's out. I go outside and I'm like, this is cool. And I wasn't going anywhere because going places was freaking me out. It got me to be kind of like agoraphobic. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm going to take a drive. I'm just going to get some fresh air. And I remember I got like really manic. I went to Best Buy. I was going to buy like a shitload of DVDs or something just to like satisfy like the urge to feel satisfied, I guess. And I was like, no, don't do that. I went home and like my aunt was there. So I was like, okay, I can't cause a scene, can't cause a scene, right? Because to me, it's still not okay in my head because my father's still alive. He's still there. And like, I know what his views are. But I didn't know his views were changing and that he also had issues as well. We had that kind of talk. And from there, it was all pretty much gravy outside of little outbursts and, medical stuff on his end. Like, he died from COPD. So like he would get really manic and with the bipolar and everything and go out and like he bought me and Chris amps and he did all this kind of weird stuff. He bought my mother a new car. And I was like, oh my God, don't do that. Telling the guys that like the payment would be like COD, like cash on demand or delivery or whatever. And, that's some hard shit to deal with, dude. Yeah. Having to put your dad on the toilet because he can't go himself and clean him, all that kind of stuff. So that kind of stabilized a little bit for me, but it was like getting used to a new life because I was afraid to go places for that.
Yeah.
So then I start going out and I use the Xanax and I notice, okay, when I take the Xanax, when I get those feelings of like, oh shit, my heart's going to explode, my brain's going to explode, I feel like I'm going to pass out, that works really well. But the more you use it, the more your body gets used to it, the more you get dependent on it. So I've had not bad problems with it, but problems enough where I limit myself. So I get 3 times a day, 0.5 milligrams. That's what I've had pretty much forever, that stuff. But I try not to ever go past that. But there's definitely times where I've come home and literally still thought this is because I'm in, worse shape or was in worse shape and getting better now, where I thought it was a legitimate heart attack. And it's so hard to tell still that I still get stuck in that zone. In terms of depression and stuff, from my experience with medication, because what I got diagnosed with was MDD, GAD, panic disorder. But panic disorder was later because my doctors thought that the GAD was just kind of like, you got really bad anxiety, that's our anxiety attacks. There is a difference between just anxiety attacks and full-blown panic attacks. There's a big fucking difference in terms of what your body's feeling. the anxiety. At least that's how I've grown accustomed to looking at it.
Yeah, it's
Also, you know,
from my understandings of it, it's like, because I don't think I've ever had a panic attack. I've definitely had anxiety, and I've had a few anxiety attacks myself too. But my understanding is it's just like your body goes into survival mode, like out of nowhere. You know
yep.
what I mean? And it's like maybe it's a chemical imbalance or something like that. But it's something just triggers inside your body that you have no control over, and your body just instinctively thinks that it's, like you said, like you're dying, or something's wrong when there's really nothing wrong to begin with. You know what I mean? And that's what a panic attack is, and why people like yourself have had to take medication for it. Famous actor Will Friedle, he was Eric on Boy Meets World. I would listen to a podcast with him. He suffers from panic attacks and anxiety all the time, but he's to a point now in his life where he's actually off the medication, and he knows that anxiety is just going to be a part of his life. That's why he wasn't on camera for a number of years, and he got into voice acting, because he couldn't. He was on set one day for a show, and he's just like, what the fuck is happening to me? He just had like a full-blown panic attack and just couldn't figure out why, and he was like declining offers for roles and everything for a while until he figured it out, and then he was taking medication for a while. So, but
I refuse. My stance on it is I refuse to let it interfere with my job and my any kind of commitment to my band, family, right? So those are the three things. Or if I have a girlfriend or what, at the time, I don't right now. But those are the three things where like it crosses the line with me, where I have to be the one to tame the tiger, so to speak. So I've had them when like we're about to go on stage, and I've done this so many times. We by now and somewhere between 600 and 800 shows, dude, just of like over the course of 15 years, grinding all the time. I've had it when I've gone on stage in comfortable venues where should not be a problem, didn't drink, didn't smoke, where I'm just getting that in my head now. My brain, that's a hard thing to what I'm trying to say is like your brain can be your own worst enemy in that regard, in that the slightest inclination of you might have a panic attack if you've had one gets your brain to run with the ball. And that's the hardest thing, is my brain runs with the ball sometimes. And it sucks, because then either I do one of two things. I put a pill under my tongue to prevent it, even if I don't need it, or I have one of those, and it's harrowing because I don't know, now I'm 36. So I don't know if, hey, it's a health issue because I'm not in the greatest shape, which was a big motivator in me getting back on a diet right now, during the pandemic, and kind of being very careful in my going out and about and stuff, because I want to be around for my family and everybody. And I want to make more records. My goal isn't done yet. I want to write stuff. I want to write scripts. Like, I look at like I have a lot more stuff I want to do in life. I want to live, no matter how depressed I get, that I can't let it take over. But when it's bad, man, it's like it feels like you're gonna die, and then you're just black out, and that's terrifying. And so, like you noticed about the guy from Boy Meets World, I would look up how it affected people, because I didn't know when I was like, okay, this is happening, and sometimes the pills don't work anymore.
yeah.
What can I do? So I'm looking up like how it helps or how it affects people that are 14, 15, 20, 30, 40, 60. Just kind of see like, is there anybody out there? There's got to be. I'm not that special, we're all people. I can't be the only one that feels this way. So you go and you WebMD it, which is never a good idea, by the way.
No.
And then you go, you either have herpes or you have depression. What?
I got a pain in my foot. Well, you've got cancer. What?
Yeah. A hung toenail can lead to kidney disease? What?
I took some Tylenol. I feel better. I mean,
yeah, exactly. So swallow bleach. It'll be great.
Oh, my God. Don't even get me started on that.
So I'm going, and I saw a couple of videos from this kid who had his special needs, but he also, dealt with panic disorder. So it gave me a better perspective, because I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure that I'm misdiagnosed, and that's what I have. Not to say that I don't have general anxiety and I don't have depression. I most certainly do. But I think that other box wasn't checked.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And so turns out it wasn't checked. I felt exactly like this kid, and I had to show my doctor. I say, hey, this is
What do
how I
you,
feel, man. This is
what
what
do
I
you think? Yeah.
was like. Okay, we switched my medication, but I'm in the process of switching to a different medication now, just specifically for that to help that better,
Yeah.
that out better. But yeah, man, it's something I struggle with every day, have for
Do you,
years and years and years.
I know you said he smoked weed for a while. I mean, I don't know if you know, I don't want to call you out if you do or anything, if you
Not
still
good.
do, but I mean, have you ever tried CBD?
I have like CBD oil and creams for headaches specifically. I
Mm.
got them because I went on a trip, oddly enough, to Salem around Halloween for 4 days or so with my family, and I went into one of those shops and I was like, "Yeah, let me give it a shot." So I put it on. I'm like, "Holy fuck, that worked for a headache!
Hmm.
Holy shit, took the tension away."
Hmm.
So I use it mostly for that and for like pains and shit, like for
So,
joint.
um, we'll talk off air a little bit more about it, but I work part time for a vape shop. I do graphic design work, but you said you're living in Meriden. They actually have a shop in Meriden, and there's this great product
Cool.
from Vermont CB. It's called CBG.
Uh-huh.
It's I actually take the stuff myself, but they have like 4 different kind of tinctures. One specifically for pain that I take for my back and my glaucoma and stuff. But they've got like 2 other flavors that specifically are designed for like anxiety and like stress and stuff like that. And it's like I noticed like once I took the tinctures, I put like a 1 milligram droplet under my tongue. Within 5 minutes, pain was numb, gone. I was like, holy fuck, like this stuff is way better than a lot of the other stuff I tried out there. It's really good. I would definitely recommend it to you if it's something you'd be interested in. So,
Oh,
uh,
dude, I tried one up in Salem. Aside from the creams, they were like, "Hey,
mm.
do you want to try this drops?" I was like, "Is it going to
It's
interfere
the
if
best
you're?"
way. It's the best way to take it too. Honestly, any kind of CBD is definitely
Oh,
tinctures are
dude,
the way to
I
go.
noticed that like a motherfucker. So I was an
Yeah.
idiot about it. The guy was like, "We have this, we have this, and we have this." And I was like, "I'm a big guy. I probably need more of it." So I took like the 1,500. I put it under my tongue. Oh, dude, I felt fucking great for like hours. I was walking down these streets like probably embarrassing the shit out of my sister and like.
Well, I mean, let's clear some stuff up here for listeners that are unfamiliar with CBD. CBD comes from hemp, obviously, but you don't get high off of it. You get all the benefits that come from hemp without the THC to it. I mean, granted, there's still like a percentage of THC to it, but not.
This one definitely had THC in
Yeah. Okay.
it.
All right. Well, then that's a different story. But I mean, the THC limit on CBD, the legal limit is 0.03% because you can't extract all of it out of it, but it's not enough to get you high or anything like that. You just get the benefits of, it helps with aches and pains, soreness. It helps with anxiety and stuff like that. So that's why I definitely, I would recommend CBD to anybody that's dealing with a lot of stress or a lot of pain or anything like that. It
Oh,
helps
dude, totally.
tremendously.
And to clarify, just so people don't misinterpret what I was saying about that, much to your effect, I had asked them, "Does this interfere with the medication I was taking or Xanax?" And they were like, "Nope, shouldn't." And I'm like, "Okay." So I had taken the Xanax, and the guy was like, "You should be good." And this was like about an hour before, because I knew I was going to be like, shitload of people close together, just a big crowd, because that's something that since then, not when I'm on stage, there could be a billion people. I'm cool with it.
Mm.
But like when you're just like personal life walking around, my brain is in a different mode, and that's something that makes you a little anxious, especially when you're the protector of the people you're with, and you're the guy. It's like, all right, if something happens,
Mm-hmm.
here we go. So I took that bigger dose, and there was THC in it. I didn't get high, but I got like so fucking relaxed and loose and like lucid that I was like, this shit's fucking great. And then I went back, and the guy told me the price. It was like crazy high, and I knew from people that have it, and I have friends, that take it and stuff. I knew I was getting jacked for it. if I were to get it. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, but that was so good. Yeah, that's like the old drug guy in me in my head. It's like, oh, it's fucking good though, man. And I'm like, if I was driving, we'd crash. Like, you know. So I had all day and it was great. And then it wore out. I had the headache. I took the cream I bought out, put it on. That worked. I was fine. But I'm like, oh man, yeah, totally. If you get off air, will give me that. And
Oh yeah. Yeah, we'll talk more about it. But yeah, we're gonna have to like close it out pretty soon. Because we're like way over like an hour and a half now, I think.
feel free to chop up like whatever out of
Oh
chunk.
no, I'm keeping all this. Like for editing, I don't do a lot. I just focus on my guest and what they're talking about, and I chime in when I can. So, but yeah, let's talk a little bit off air about that. But music right now, like we said, we were talking about earlier, you're at Dexter's right now. You're working on a new album. What's the progress on that? And do you guys have a release date? I know with everything going on right now, it's kind of hard to like figure out plans and everything when exactly you could release this. But any sort of idea?
So as long-winded as I was, hopefully we get a few minutes to talk because I know you probably got.
Oh yeah, no,
but I'll
please.
lay it up.
Yeah.
I am long-winded, so like I said again, if you need to cut anything, cool. I get it. So essentially, this record came about because I've been not very satisfied. So I'll be completely truthful and honest out here. I've not been satisfied with the way we were going about writing music, and the guys might hear this and be like, what? But some things you don't keep or you don't say to people depending on your situation. A band is like a family in a marriage, and sometimes that marriage doesn't work sometimes, but you still love the person, the people, and you go and do it. And it wasn't so much the people, but it was more so just like I felt stuck. If I'm in the position where like, hey, I create a lot of material. We haven't done a record in 3 years, of which like another 6 months before that, we had already written and demoed and played that shit. We had played the stuff out. So to me, this record's 4 years old, and to an artist, like you sit on things for 3-4 years, dude. You're like, you could be a different person by then. So I'm a guy that likes consistency. I like an album every 1 or 2 years. I hate the fact that we have long delays between records, So we had, 4 records from 06 to 2017. It's a pretty big gap, for like, if you're just looking at like releasing anything. We don't really release EPs. I'm an old school album guy, right? So I booked time with Nick at Dexter's. It was going to be a solo album because I needed to get something out. We weren't making a lot of progress just because of, how we go about writing stuff, input issues of like, oh man, you're bringing too much stuff in. And then I'm the guy sitting there going, well, what do I fucking do? That's my job. You don't have to take it. But like, so I'm not going to get into that. But, for that period, that's what that was. And I needed a creative lift. I needed something. So I'm like, well, fuck, I don't really have shit that I do and I don't. Like, I have stuff that's like acoustic and like not fluffy, but just stuff that it's not my focus.
Yeah.
So I write it for fun, but it's not my thing. And I have shape stuff that I put aside that's like, hey, when we get around to it and everybody's got their shit together and we're all on the same page, this is what I'm pulling from. But I can't pull from either of those bags at that point. So I go to one of the things I always wanted to do was remake our first record because the sound quality was not up to my standard. I didn't, so, and that's why we don't have it online. So through that process, I go back through the songs and we've remade a lot of these songs. So in terms of status, it's literally getting mastered right now as we speak. I got that message today.
Very cool.
So I'm super excited to that. So it started as me sitting down with Chris, who wasn't in the band before, like he had left, and he wanted to come back, and Pete wasn't too comfortable with that, just because Chris has been in and out. So it's the guy that it's like your best friend. You started it with, and even though I respect the decision, I'm still like, okay, well, I want to make music with this guy anyway. Let me and him redo this first record. So we went off and did that. We remembered we had like 30 songs. So we've done 2 records, actually. We have a heavy record, the one that's getting mastered right now, and then we have one that's a little more classic Rocky, if somebody local, because I'm not saying we're like Led Zeppelin, but if you had like that kind of sound, but for today, that's in the ballpark, mixed with a lot of different shit like Radiohead and all that stuff. It's not a heavy record. It'll surprise a lot of people, but it's really good music. So we've been working on that, and it's been just me, Chris, and Nick. Nick Belmore actually played drums on it, and he's playing drums on the next one. So we've just had, and one of us had coronavirus, not me. So and got sick and wasn't able to participate. The other declined. So, but we all good. But it's literally, it came out to be easily my favorite record, like bar none. Like it happened when all this shit started happening, and it's about different aspects of what goes on in a time like this, compared to different things like plague doctors to, old school politics, and a wolf's always going to be a wolf. So there's a lot of stuff to get from that. It's not, Rage Against the Machine or anything. It's not very obvious. You have to use your brain to get it. But it's a very hopeful record. It's a very fucking heavy record. It's a very angry record all in one. But it still has the melodics that if you listen to us, you're used to. So I think I'm actually singing more on this one than any other one too, which is great.
Cool.
And I'd say it's probably about 60% singing, but there's still, when it's screaming, there's definitely some fucking screaming. And we're going in to do the other one starting June 27th.
Cool.
But you should still expect another record from all of us sometime next year as we get back into doing this. I mean, currently, I have family, some of which live with me in my house here, where I don't want to expose them to anything. So kind of figuring out how to do that, but safely. But that's kind of where we're at. But it's something we're going to really push hard, and I definitely want to get all the proceeds going to a certain charity. So basically, if you buy this record, the money 100% is going to go to one of two very deserving places, which is going to be awesome.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm looking forward to that. I'll definitely buy it when it comes out.
It is called In the Age of Doom and Fear. In terms of a release date, we have an idea, but obviously due to what's going on, if we're still in the first wave, right?
Yeah.
If that spikes up due to protests or anything like that, or people being idiots and not wearing their PPE,
which I'm still seeing a lot of.
There's a lot of fucking idiots out there, man.
Yeah.
A lot of different ways.
Wear your masks, people. Wear them. We're not going to get over this until people start listening.
And I'm excited to get out to a new world with music.
Nice.
There's a lot of people. I have my opinions, and there's a lot of people who, that I thought might have been good people that are not so good people.
It's nice to it's nice and bad at the same time. You figure out like who's who. Really, you find out who people really are. And I've purged a lot of people recently myself too. So, but it is what it is. And
keep purging them, man. I'm doing the same thing. And at the end of the day, if you have a lot of hate in your heart that isn't in the right place, I don't want you to buy our record. I don't want you to attach your philosophy to it, because it's not in the spirit of what we're trying to do.
Exactly.
And people know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So
fuck them.
Fuck them. Exactly. And I've had messages of people being like, hey man, a couple, way more being like, I'm glad you're so outspoken, man, like, and exposing people, and like, it's awesome to hear that. And from my perspective, I'm not doing anything where I'm just like, oh, this one's this, right? Yeah. It's, if you get out of line, you come to my page, you start harassing people, and or I catch you saying some fucked up shit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking put you on blast, dude. I don't give a fuck if I see you in person or not. Come at my next show. I don't give a shit. Thanks for your money. Right? So there's that. But I've had a few people that are like, knowing that you support this because it's bullshit, I'm not going to listen to your music. I'm like, I don't give a fuck if you do or not. I don't want
Bye.
If you're a hateful person, and I'm not being overboard, I'm not being a snowflake, I'm not a liberal, I'm an independent dude. If you're a hateful person, I do not want you buying it.
So I'm the same way, man. Like I said that a couple episodes ago, if you're into all that, then this isn't the podcast for you. And I don't want you to listen, nor do I need your support. So it is what it is. But
Man,
let's just hope that things start, getting better out there, and hopefully we can all start going to shows again and start, loving one each other again. Let's not go backwards, people. Let's move forward and, keep moving forward. So that being
we have one on the potential docket, I guess. It's up. It's called Frankenmarket. I'd feel shitty if I didn't plug it.
Well, I was gonna talk about plugs now, so please plug.
It's Kelly Nason, Kelly D'Angelo, John D'Angelo, former member of Apostasy's wife, has an awesome company called A Bone to Pick, where she makes really cool things out of animal bones and stuff, jewelry and really cool things. Came up with like a horror merchant festival, I guess you would call it. And we've had it on the docket forever, since like January or something. And it just kept getting postponed. And we were so looking forward to that. Third time, hopefully, will be the charm, September 19th. It's a Saturday, 11 a.m. start. The market goes till 6, and then we go on at 6 o'clock. And there's also Murder Monday and dude, I hate myself for not remembering this.
Well, go to the Shape on Facebook.
Band. Yeah. Zach Green's band, who are awesome. I'm forgetting the fucking name though. I feel like an asshole. Anyway, that's happening that day. Hopefully, provided shit doesn't happen. I'm hoping too that our record will be able to be out. It'll definitely at least be out by then if we can get out in some capacity. But in between, you'll definitely get some form of videos and or lyric video, something from us with new music very soon.
Very cool. Awesome, man. Well, all right. You guys can check me out. Let me plug the show first before I plug myself, and that came out wrong in so many ways. Thank you guys for watching and subscribing. Make sure to follow and subscribe on YouTube. Hit that little bell icon every time we drop a new video. You can listen to the show on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, wherever you guys get your podcasts from. You can email the show at roadswe'vetraveledpodcast@gmail.com if you guys have any questions for guests, stories, or anything like that. I'll be happy to read them on the air. Check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/roadswe'vetraveledpodcast. You can also check me out on Twitch at twitch.tv/jrbucklegaming. I just did a video with Knob from OFNR and who else was in that video? Jeff and Knob's wife. We did some online Cards Against Humanity, which was really fun. I know it's a little weird playing that right now, but you got to laugh sometimes too, So that was a lot of fun playing. And check out my portfolio at www.allenm@pelletierjr.com. Again, I did a video for Rubicon. Their lyric video, I Will Remain, is up right now. I did another lyric video for a band called Fectology. I don't know when it's being released, but once that's released, it'll be up on my portfolio website as well too. So, Brian, thank you again for doing this, man. This was a lot of fun, and it's really great catching up with you. And I hope to see you soon at a show. And I'm looking forward to the new releases of everything that you're doing. I mean, you're such a busy guy and so talented. So
thank you, man.
Thank you again for doing this, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I was stoked when you hit me up, and when the world opens again, my man, I will see you in person.
Hell yeah, man! I'm looking forward to it.
Hopefully, another 40 pounds off.
For both of us. Both of us. All right, brother.